On what should have been our golden anniversary, my love, Lin Wanjun, committed suicide. It was only after her death, when her editor posthumously published her work, that I learned the truth. Her lingering illness had never healed because she resented me, believing I had trapped her for her entire life. So, when I was reborn, and my father ordered me to choose an arranged marriage, to cast aside Lin Wanjun, who had been with me for 5 years, I agreed without a flicker of hesitation. This time, I was willing to become a scumbag, to step aside and let her be with her white moonlight. You've been with me for 5 years. This card has $500,000 in it. Before you go on those matchmaking dates, get your hymen restored. Honest guys really go for that. I hadn't even finished speaking when Lin Wanjun snatched the card and threw it at my face. Fu Shangyan, you bastard. A sharp sting at my temple. I touched it, blood. Lifting my eyes, I saw Lin Wanjun's cool, elegant features contorted with long-suppressed fury. Today is my new book launch. You dragged me here with one call, just to say this. Fu Shangyan, have people like you ever learned to respect anyone? Lin Wanjun departed, her expression like frost. Before leaving, she didn't forget to hurl her coffee in my face. I didn't flinch, letting her vent. Then she strode off on her stilettos, rushing back to her launch event. Several taxis stopped for her, then drove on. Lin Wanjun didn't get into any of them, choosing instead to pace where she stood. Her lotus green coat billowed in the early winter wind, making her silhouette seem utterly alone, as if waiting for me to come and coax her. But I knew she wasn't waiting for me, and just as I expected, a battered old bicycle soon pulled up before Lin Wanjun. A smile finally lit up her face. She hopped onto the back seat, her arms circling the man's waist. Even though I'd resolved to let her go in this lifetime, the sight of the woman I'd spent a previous life with, now beaming at another man, still sent an indescribable pang through my heart. Lin Wanjun was a good woman. In truth, in our past life, she had done nothing wrong. To me, to our child, to our home, she had always done her utmost, everything within her power. Even that book, her nostalgic tribute to her white moonlight, Lu Zhe, was only published at her request after she died. She had never wronged me. She simply didn't love me. Sir, old mister, Fu has already arranged for your body. In 3 days, you can proceed with the fake death and depart. Understood. Let's go home. Under the newly enacted policies, my Fu family no longer had any standing in Nangang. In 3 days, I would fake my death, assume a new identity, and head to the mainland to forge a new path. 3 months later, I would marry my betrothed. In my previous life, I had taken Lin Wanjun with me, but she hadn't been happy with me. This time, I would fake my death alone. She would be happy, wouldn't she? At least, years from now, when reporters interviewed her, she could say, without a trace of shame, that the man she had once been with wasn't some sugar daddy, but simply a complete scumbag. Back home, I turned on the TV. Sure enough, a riot had broken out at the press conference. I breathed a sigh of relief when I saw Lin Wanjun wasn't among the victims reported. I started packing my bags. I planned to leave this villa to Lin Wanjun, and I'd also left a sum of money for her in the safe. Her younger brother wasn't in good health, and her writing career was just taking off. Without me to protect her in the future, those publishers and agents were the kind of scumbags who devour you whole and not even spit out the bones. If she didn't have money to grease some palms, her path ahead would be incredibly difficult. Lin Wanjun pushed the door open and came in. She took off the heavy, padded coat that wasn't really hers. I caught the sharp scent of her perfume, mingled with a faint smell of tobacco, slightly acrid. I never smoke, but right then, I desperately wanted one. Going on another business trip? Lin Wanjun's icy gaze fell on my suitcase. I mumbled an affirmation and continued packing, not knowing what to say. It was as if she hadn't taken our breakup that morning seriously. Well, it made sense. After all, we'd had fights and broken up before, but each time, I was the one who backed down in the end, begging her to come back. She probably thought this was just another tactic of mine to win her back. Lin Wanjun seemed deliberate for a moment, her pale fingertips clenching into fists. It took her a while to summon her courage. Fu Shangyan, was it you who sabotaged Lu Zhe's job at the TV station? Otherwise, they just notified him yesterday that he could start work. So how could he suddenly be kicked out today? My hands, busy packing clothes, paused. I looked up, my face devoid of expression. You think it was me? Lin Wanjun met my gaze unflinchingly, her tone still as cold as ice. I've told you countless times, Fu Shangyan. He's just like a brother to me, someone I grew up with. Why do you have to be so petty and keep hounding him? You even hired people to beat him up. Actually, in my past life, they had argued about this very same thing. Luze had lost his TV station job because he'd hit the station director's nephew, but he'd blamed it all on me. In my past life, by the time I found the director's nephew, he was already dead, so I couldn't prove my innocence. That's why, in this life, as soon as I was reborn, I immediately found the director's nephew and saved his life. But just as I was about to take the evidence out of the drawer, Lin Wanjun suddenly recoiled half a step. A sharp pain pierced my heart. I knew what she was thinking. She thought I was going to pull out a gun. After all, rumors were rife in Nangang that anyone who crossed me would end up dumped in international waters to feed the fish. But I had always doted on her, respected her. Since we'd been together, she had never been afraid of me. Yet now, all because of an outsider's one-sided story, she was confronting me, her eyes blazing with accusation. At that moment, I felt an overwhelming sense of dejection and exhaustion. I thought to myself, since I've already decided to leave, why bother explaining any of this? A self-mocking smile tugged at the corner of my lips, and I closed the drawer. So what if it was me? In that instant, I saw the same fear and disgust in her eyes that I saw in everyone else's. I lowered my head, not wanting her to see my reddened eyes. Make me a bowl of wonton noodles, Wanjun. No, Lin Wanjun refused instinctively. But then, perhaps thinking of something, she took a deep breath and headed to the kitchen. She heated the wok, added oil, and with a sizzle, the aroma of eggs burst into the air. Once cooked through, she sliced the egg into shreds and set it aside. Refilling the wok with water, it was time for the wontons and dragon beard noodles. An enduring hit single was playing on the TV, Priscilla Chan's Countless Songs. Leaning against the door, I hummed along softly. I remembered the second time I saw Lin Wanjun. She was singing this very song in a nightclub. She was 17 then, and had already forgotten saving me when we were children. She sported big, overly mature waves in her hair, and a cheap, tacky bodycon dress clung to her fine figure, accentuating her every curve. But her eyes were still as bright and pure as they had been back then. Multicolored lights danced on her face, reflecting off the walls of the private room, creating a dreamlike atmosphere. She was just as I had pictured her in my countless midnight reveries, fulfilling every fantasy I'd had. I took her home with me, paid off her gambling addict father's debts, and had her younger brother transferred to the best hospital. She had a beautiful voice, and I told her I wanted to make her a star. But she told me she wanted to continue her studies and become a great writer someday. I admired her ambition, so I supported her through university. The song ended, and the wonton noodles were ready. "All right," she said, "I've changed the safe's password. If you need anything from inside, just take it. The password is..." Lin Wanjun slammed the bowl of wonton noodles onto the table, the splashing broth scalding her fingertips red. My gaze darkened slightly. She had made 2 servings. The other she poured into a thermal container. "What's the password?" My lips moved, but no sound came out. "The password was today. My birthday. Is there anything else? I need to go to the hospital to take care of Lu Zhe." Lin Wanjun hastily picked up the thermal container, her expression impatient. It seemed like she would dash out the door any second. I grasped her hand, my voice hoarse. "Wanjun, sing me another song." "Next time." She refused without hesitation. She paused, then, as if remembering my position, her voice softened, tinged with humiliation. "Next time, okay? Lu Zhe is very badly injured." I let go of her hand, my strength gone, and said, "All right," my face devoid of expression. As the door opened and closed, silence descended upon the room, leaving only the sound of breathing and the ticking of the clock. Slowly, I pulled out a chair. The noodles had gone a bit clumpy. I forced down a couple of mouthfuls. It no longer tasted like it did in my memories. The next morning, the door slammed open with a deafening bang. I jolted awake from my dreams, instinctively grabbed my knife, and pinned the intruder to the bed, the blade poised at their neck. Seeing it was Lin Wanjun, I quickly pulled the knife back. "Sorry, Wanjun. Things have been tense lately. I've been on edge. I didn't mean to scare you." She shook her head slightly and sat up, still shaken. Her eyes fell on the cake on the floor, and she pressed her lips together. I froze for a moment, a faint smile tugging at the corners of my mouth. Then it quickly faded. Too bad my birthday had already passed. After a moment's thought, I picked up the remaining half of the cake with the dining knife. It still looked mostly intact. Lin Wanjun grabbed my wrist, frowning disapprovingly. "Don't eat that. It's dirty. I'll go buy another one." I smiled at her, scooped up a bit of cream, and dabbed it on her nose. When I hit rock bottom, I was so hungry, I even rummaged through trash bins. I started telling her stories from my childhood, vivid and animated. It had been so long since I'd seen her genuinely smile in front of me. In our last life, After she left Nangang, she was never the same. Always quiet, withdrawn. Even around our child, she seemed like a shell of herself, like someone who had lost her soul. But this time, I think I made the right choice. This time, she will live a life of peace and joy. You never told me any of this. I always thought you were like a superhero. Untouchable, Lin Wanjun said, resting her chin in her palm, her gaze intent and full of emotion. I forced down the sadness in my chest and managed a small smile. Wanjun, we're only human. Of course we get hurt. She paused, as if something had dawned on her, and fell silent. Only her quickened breathing betrayed the turmoil beneath her calm exterior. Bang! Firecrackers went off in the distance. She snapped out of it, awkwardly turning her head away. Strands of hair fell loosely across her forehead, and for a moment, she looked her age again, youthful, even a little bashful. I chuckled softly and looked out the window too. After a while, she stood up, putting on her usual cold, aloof demeanor. By the way, when's your business trip? 7 o'clock ferry tomorrow morning. I'll see you off then. All right. We finished the rest of the cake in silence. Then, with some hesitation, Lin Wanjun finally spoke. Fu Shangyan, could you spare Lu Zhe? Please. I'm asking you. The job at the TV station means a lot to him. She didn't look at me, but her voice trembled ever so slightly, like she was afraid I'd say no. My heart sank bit by bit. So, this was why she had rushed over so early, to make up for my birthday, just so she could plead for a way out for Lu Zhe. In the end, I just numbly nodded. All right. After all, I was the one who decided to let her and Lu Zhe be together. When you help someone, you commit all the way. If Lu Zhe's future turned bleak, I feared Lin Wanjun would suffer too. She'd saved my life once. After this, our debt would finally be settled. But the man Lu Zhe had crossed happened to be my nemesis, Shen Huihong. There was no way he'd let Lu Zhe off easily. So, I had to intervene personally. By the time I found Lu Zhe, night had fallen. In an abandoned factory, Lu Zhe was beaten half to death, strung up in midair. Fu Shangyan, what? You get off on being a cuckold, helping your own woman save her lover. My eyes narrowed dangerously. At a flick of my finger, my men laid into the dozen or so thugs. Agonizing screams echoed for a long moment. I casually wiped the smear of blood from my fingertip. I switched on the stereo. A beautiful song soon swelled, drowning out the fading whimpers of pain. Someone like you doesn't deserve Wanjun. Lu Zhe snarled, his gaze sweeping over the carnage as he struggled to push himself up. He was a bloody mess, yet still found the nerve to taunt me. I pinned his head under my foot, looking down at him, my expression a mix of contempt and bafflement. Then what kind of man does deserve her, huh? The righteous star reporter Lu? Stop it, Lin Wanjun cried, rushing over and shoving me so hard I stumbled. When I turned, I saw Shen Huihong, who'd entered with her. It finally clicked. This was a trap he'd set for me. He'd lost his own wife because of his philandering, and now he couldn't stand to see anyone else happy with theirs. Fu Shangyan, I am so incredibly disappointed in you, she cried out. Can't you go just one day without all this violence and bloodshed? I never let her see this side of me before, never let her witness such brutality. I was terrified she'd fear me, revere me out of that fear, or outright hate me. But now, the look in her eyes, the way she flinched from me, it all screamed that not only did she not love me, she saw me as her enemy. In her eyes, I saw my own reflection, cowardly, despicable, utterly loathsome. Lin Wanjun cradled Lu Zhe, her heart aching. As if his humiliation were her own, she gently wiped the shoe print from his face. Fu Shangyan, she choked out, tears streaming down her face. Will you only be satisfied when you've driven us all to a dead end? So now, you've got what you wanted. I'm begging you. Please, can you just let us go? She sank to her knees and kowtowed deeply, her forehead striking the hard ground. I heard the dull, sickening thud. Blood trickled from her temple, past her defiant eyes. I stared, shocked and utterly disheartened, and could only murmur, Lin Wanjun, in your heart, what kind of monster am I to you? Winters in Nangang rarely saw snow. The sea breeze, laced with sleet, lashed my face. It was a damp, bone-chilling cold that seemed to penetrate to the very marrow. I waited at the pier, but in the end, she didn't come see me off. Not that I was surprised. After all, today was Lu Zhe's first day at his new post. She, naturally, would see him off to the TV station first. Shen Huihong, that scoundrel, really knew how to make life difficult. Despite Lu Zhe being so badly injured, he still had to report to Shen Huihong first. But that was Lu Zhe's own choice. How they fared in the future was no longer my concern. "Sir, it's time," my subordinate reminded. I handed my final letter to my subordinate, instructing him to deliver it to Lin Wanjun. Truth be told, Lin Wanjun's writing journey hadn't been smooth at the start. To encourage her, I anonymously became her very first fan. I read every piece she published meticulously, then wrote her letters offering sincere advice and encouragement. Now, this was the final piece of encouragement. I wished her a future as bright as brocade. I didn't board the ship. Tonight, this ferry would sail into international waters and meet with disaster. All passengers would vanish, none spared. Would she cry for me? Even if not for me, but simply for a life that was lost. Never mind. It didn't matter anymore. Lin Wanjun arrived at the pier, but the ship had already departed. A snowy mist swirled. The distant ship lights, like flickering stars, gradually dimmed and vanished. An inexplicable unease settled in her heart. The manuscript she planned to finish in a day barely had a few words written by midnight. She'd fallen asleep, slumped over her desk, only to be jolted awake by the cold. The cedar-scented overcoat he'd usually drape over her shoulders just in time was missing. So was the coffee with its heart-shaped art, and the waffles slathered in sickeningly sweet chocolate. The house was quiet. Only the newspaper, already lying at the foot of the door, indicated that today was just another ordinary day. "It's not the first time he's been on a business trip," Lin Wanjun murmured. Yet for some reason, a heaviness still pressed on her heart, a premonition that something terrible was about to happen. It wasn't until she'd finished making breakfast that she hesitantly opened the newspaper. The moment she saw the front-page headline, her hand clenched abruptly, the bold characters announcing "Ferry sinks" crumpling in her grip. Her heart felt as if an iron band had suddenly tightened around it, and a wave of oxygen-starved suffocation washed over her. Lin Wanjun stared at the smaller print below, reading it over and over. No survivors, no survivors. Fu Shangyan. He was dead? That man, as powerful as a deity, who seemed capable of solving anything, had drowned in the tumultuous waves simply because of a small squall. He hadn't died at an enemy's gunpoint, nor been assassinated while incarcerated. He had simply, unremarkably, died in an accident. How could this be? How was this possible? Lin Wanjun couldn't believe it. She even found herself wondering if this was some scheme the man had deliberately concocted to win her back. The sharp ring of the telephone snapped Lin Wanjun back to her senses. Though the phone was mere steps away, her legs felt so weak she nearly stumbled several times as she made her way to it. Lu Zhe's exultant voice came from the other end. "Wanjun, Fu Shangyan is dead. You no longer have to force yourself to stay with him out of fear of his power. You're free." Free? But why then did her eyes blur? By the time Lin Wanjun rushed to the Fu family home, they had already begun the funeral service. Since Fu Shangyan's body couldn't be found, the coffin only contained a suit he once wore. "Aren't you going to search anymore?" Perhaps. Perhaps he was lucky enough to get on a lifeboat and is still waiting for you to rescue him. At her words, Fu Shangyan's half-brother, Fu Yi, gave a knowing smile. "Miss Lin, do you really think anyone in this family cares if he's alive or dead?" Lin Wanjun froze. She remembered the stories Fu Shangyan had told her about his family. At the time, she'd thought he was exaggerating, so she'd listened and then forgotten, paying them no real mind. She never imagined the Fu family could truly be so heartless, willing to abandon their own kin for personal gain. She gripped Fu Yi's wrist tightly, her pale face seeming to blaze with an inner fire. "Fu Yi, have you forgotten who saved you 3 years ago when thugs nearly broke your legs? How can you be so ungrateful?" The air seemed to freeze. Fu Yi looked at her mockingly and let out a low, derisive laugh. "So, you didn't know what kind of man he was, Miss Lin?" Lin Wanjun's heart lurched as if she'd been slapped hard across the face. Flashes of their past together raced through her mind. The night he'd bought her freedom, she had knelt naked on the bed, but Fu Shangyan had gently closed his eyes and draped clothes over her. When her younger brother was taken by debt collectors and she'd gone alone to save him, Fu Shangyan had rushed back from overseas at the most critical moment to rescue them. And what had she done? She had screamed at him, her voice raw with anguish. "I don't want to be your gilded canary. Fu Shangyan, can't you stop watching me, controlling me?" The man, usually as steadfast as a mountain, had seemed utterly at a loss. He had knelt before her, his eyes rimmed with red. "Wanjun, I never wanted to watch you. It's only because you're the woman I love. I just want to protect you." A loud clash of gongs and drums from the Taoist priests conducting the funeral rites jolted Lin Wanjun back to the present. Fu Yi was gone. But in a corner, she spotted a familiar figure. It was Lu Zhe. What was he doing here? Had he come to thank Fu Shangyan for saving him once? Lin Wanjun approached, about to speak, when the appearance of another person, and Lu Zhe's words to him, made her stop dead. President Shun, Lu Zhe was saying, I've done everything you asked. When can you make me deputy director of a news center? He continued, don't worry. Wanjun will never forgive Fu Shangyan in this lifetime. Whether it was me deliberately losing my job and framing Fu Shangyan, or that staged fight at the factory, she believes it all implicitly. Shun Huihong ignored Lu Zhe, instead casting an amused gaze towards Lin Wanjun, who was eavesdropping nearby. Lu Zhe, as if sensing her presence, turned his head and met Lin Wanjun's eyes, blazing with disbelief and fury. Wanjun, listen to me, it's not what you think. Lu Zhe began, but Lin Wanjun slapped him hard across the face, tears of bitter disappointment welling in her eyes. Lu Zhe, she choked out, I never knew you were this kind of person. Shen Huihong watched them leave, thoroughly enjoying the drama, his mood excellent. It's often only when someone's gone that you realize their true feelings. Lin Wanjun must be truly devastated now, he mused. Fu Shangyan, you can just watch from your grave as the woman you loved is condemned to a lifetime of regret. Shun Huihong spat at Fu Shangyan's funeral portrait. He caressed the yellowed photograph of a woman inside his pocket watch, a twisted smile on his face, yet tinged with a profound loneliness. And you too, Shun Huihong, he muttered, you also deserve to end up with a lifetime of regret. At the funeral, a torrential downpour began. The mourners hastily buried the coffin and dispersed, not even bothering to flatten the earth on top. Lin Wanjun knelt, smoothing the grave with her bare hands, mud staining her fingers, ankles, and dress. He's dead. What's the point of all this fuss? Fu, he said. He held an umbrella, but with a striking lack of chivalry, offered none of its shelter to Lin Wanjun. Lin Wanjun knelt before him, the pride that defined her seeming to crumble under the relentless rain. She desperately clutched his trouser leg, whimpering, Fu-yi, I'm begging you, please, just let the search and rescue team try again. Fu-yi, expressionless, pried her fingers off one by one. My apologies, Miss Lin. Please go home. She staggered to her feet, fists clenched, her teeth biting in her lip until blood welled. If you won't go, I'll find someone myself. Lin Wanjun called countless private search and rescue teams, but as soon as they heard she was looking for Fu Shangyan, they refused. Miss Lin, even if you change your reason or have someone else call for you, we know you're looking for Fu Shangyan. Let me be frank. The word came from above. No search and rescue team in all of Nangang will look for him. Upon hearing this, Lin Wanjun was surprisingly calm. She immediately went to the bank, withdrew all her manuscript fees and the money from her home safe, then bought a boat and hired a few sailors. She would go out to sea herself. A hand suddenly grabbed her from behind. Lin Wanjun struggled, but couldn't break free. She turned impatiently, only to see her younger brother, Lin Guodong. Startled, she grabbed his icy hand. What are you doing out here? She asked anxiously. Did they run out of money? Did the hospital kick you out? Lin Guodong draped his raincoat over her. No, sis. Don't get worked up. Fu Shangyan paid my medical expenses for the next 50 years. No one's going to kick me out. He paused. I just heard he passed away, and I was worried about you, so I snuck out to find you. Lin Wanjun sighed in relief, though a deeper pang of guilt towards Fu Shangyan stirred within her. Guodong, go back to the hospital. I'll be back soon after I find Fu Shangyan. And what if you don't find him? Lin Guodong cut in, his grip on her hand desperate as he tried to pull her back to shore. I will find him. Guodong, be a good brother. Go back first. I can't delay any longer. Suddenly, a monstrous wave crashed against the boat, sending it into a violent lurch. Lin Wanjun was thrown to the deck, scrambling unsteadily to get back up. Lin Guodong, heartbroken at the sight, grabbed her shoulders and roared in anguish. Sis, stop this. He's dead. Fu Shangyan is dead. No, he can't be dead. He's too strong. He wouldn't die. Another wave struck, and they both tumbled to the deck again. This time, Lin Wanjun couldn't hold on any longer. She collapsed limply into Lin Guodong's arms, her consciousness fading. She felt her soul drifting, as if floating in the air, countless images flashing through her mind. These fragments, jumbled with her memories, felt like recollections from a past life, or perhaps just a fleeting dream. She saw Fu Shangyan alive. She had spent her entire life with him. They had children, and Fu Shangyan treated her wonderfully, yet she was never happy. Why was she unhappy? Even when she was with the person she loved most? She didn't understand. Perhaps she would never understand in this lifetime. 3 years later, Lin Wanjun's novel, South Harbor's Last Sigh, became a massive hit. She came to the mainland for book signings and interviews. During one interview, the reporter's questions were particularly pointed, even tinged with malice. "Miss Lin, I heard this novel is based on your personal experiences. So, like the protagonist, were you also once kept by the male lead?" But Lin Wanjun simply smiled serenely. Though only in her early 20s, her eyes held the composure and weariness of someone in their 30s or 40s. "It's true," she said, "but I don't regret it. Perhaps to many, Fu Yin wasn't a good man. Perhaps he wronged many people. But to me, he was the only light in my miserable life. He was the one who pulled me out of the mire of my fate, loved me, respected me, supported me. I deeply regret misunderstanding him and letting him down when he was alive." As she finished, Lin Wanjun's voice choked with emotion. "When Shun Hui Hong sent me the clip of this interview, I had just lulled my daughter to sleep. He'd only found out a year ago that I was still alive. His first reaction upon learning I was alive had been to record a video message specifically for me, tearing into me as a scumbag. 'You fucking bastard. Eat shit, you goddamn scumbag. I actually thought you were some devoted lover, but it turns out you fake your own death just to put on a show for your woman. Huh? Do you have any idea how much Lin Wanjun has suffered all these years? You abandoned her for a marriage alliance. Are you even a man?' I secretly rolled my eyes. A heartless, philandering rich playboy who drove a pregnant young girl to her death. And he had the gall to lecture me? The sheer hypocrisy. I didn't bother replying to him. But deep down, a faint sense of unease lingered in my heart. I had a nagging feeling that something unexpected was about to happen. As I suspected, my gut feeling was right. At the cocktail party the next day, I ran into Lin Wanjun in the crowd. And right behind her, Shun Hui Hong gave me a malicious little wave. Damn it. At that moment, I really wanted to curse out loud. But I couldn't. All I could do was nod politely at Lin Wanjun, pretending not to know her. "Shangyan? Fu Shangyan, is it really you?" Lin Wanjun reached out, desperate to grab my hand, but I dodged just in time. She was still the same familiar Lin Wanjun, but somehow different. Her head tilted slightly up, eyes shimmering with fragile tears. But today, I no longer could, nor had the right to, wipe her tears away. I stared at her blankly, deliberately showing a trace of impatience. "Sorry, miss. You got the wrong person." She stubbornly blocked my path, refusing to let me pass. I signaled the bodyguard to pull her aside. Without looking back, I turned and walked away. "Fu Shang." Her shout was cut off, muffled by the bodyguard's hand. I didn't look back. In fact, I walked even faster. I figured Shun Hui Hong must have tipped her off again. A few days later, Lin Wanjun cornered me in a private bar. Slightly exasperated, I had no choice but to ask my friends to step away for a moment. Lin Wanjun seized the opportunity and sat down beside me. I caught a whiff of her faint perfume. It was a bit too sharp. I leaned back slightly and deliberately picked up my glass with the hand wearing my wedding ring. "Miss Lin, I'm married now." Lin Wanjun's smile froze, her expression growing even more desolate. "I suppose so. If you really are him, then the man I've longed for all these years and all those books I wrote. Doesn't it all just make me look ridiculous? What I thought was deep love was actually just someone faking their death to get rid of a burden." I opened my mouth, but didn't know what to say. After all, from Lin Wanjun's perspective, everything was exactly as it seemed to her. But the ending I'd envisioned was supposed to be her living happily ever after with Liu Zhe, with me just being an insignificant, dead scumbag in her life. When did it all start to spiral out of control? I don't know. I only know she shouldn't be living in the past. I've moved on, and I hope she can live a good life from now on, too. But in the brief moment I was lost in thought, Lin Wanjun had already emptied her glass. Her stomach was already weak. If she drank any more, she'd probably end up in a hospital. I wanted to tell her to stop, but the words died on my lips, feeling inappropriate. After a moment's thought, I signaled a bodyguard to take her glass away. "Take her home." Lin Wanjun struggled furiously, her usually cool eyes now clouded with drunken anguish. She screamed at me, a heart-wrenching cry that drew everyone's attention. "Fu Shangyan, you coward, either admit outright that you abandoned me, or just leave me alone." I quickly covered her mouth and sent someone to deal with tomorrow's headlines. If this went on, my new identity, less than 2 years old, was about to be blown wide open to the public. In the end, I reluctantly escorted a drunk and disorderly Lin Wanjun home with my bodyguard. In the car, I texted my wife to let her know what was going on. She sent back a cute emoji telling me to just handle it. A small smile touched my lips, and I didn't notice Lin Wanjun had somehow leaned in so close. Was it for her that you abandoned me? Do you love her? Or was it just because your families were a good match? I pressed my elbow against her arm, gently pushing her away. You're drunk, Miss Lin. She closed her eyes, a bitter smile on her lips, her fists clenched as if desperately trying to rein in her emotions. About 20 minutes later, I gently nudged her arm. We're here, Miss Lin. She opened her drowsy eyes, her tipsy gaze holding a captivating allure that almost completely overturned my previous impression of her. She invited me upstairs to sit for a while. I didn't want to be alone with her in her apartment, so I refused outright. She tilted her chin up at me, her cool eyes now tinged with contempt and scorn. I have something to say to you. You could bring your bodyguard along, coward. With a helpless sigh, I gestured for the bodyguard to accompany me upstairs. When she opened the door, the apartment's decor was almost identical to the place we'd shared in Nangang 3 years ago. Feeling a little uneasy, I glanced around briefly before sitting on the sofa farthest from her. The bodyguard stood behind me. She scoffed, then took off her jacket, revealing a short, sexy skirt underneath. I immediately looked away. You're not him. What are you so flustered about? Her feigned gentleness held a sharp edge, as if she were waiting to pounce on any mistake I made. I could only manage a polite smile. I'm a married man, after all. It wouldn't be good if my wife found out. At the word wife, the light in her eyes suddenly dimmed. She murmured the word, her expression dazed. Wife. So wife. Her voice was laced with an indescribable bitterness that made my own heart ache. She shouldn't have become like this. But things had come to this, and I was powerless to change anything. Do you know how I confirmed who you are? Those letters. The ones you wrote to me, even though you deliberately changed your handwriting. A person's little quirks are hard to hide. Lin Wanjun carefully placed a thick stack of letters on the table. They looked almost new, a testament to how much she'd cherished them over the years. Then, she took out her phone and thrust a photo in my face. It was a photo of the contract I'd just signed with the Shun Corporation. Shun Huihong had sent her a picture of the signature page. At this point, are you still going to deny it? Fu Shangyan, just tell me the truth. All I want is a straight answer. 3 years ago, did you leave me for a marriage alliance? Just tell me, and I'll finally be able to let go. Her slightly reddened eyes were filled with anticipation and a desperate plea. I drew closer, step by step, until I was right beside her. Then, I slipped the active recording pen from her bag. Stay away from Shun Huiyong, I told her. He's no good. I hadn't answered her unspoken question directly, but my actions were confession enough. The color drained from her face, replaced by stark terror, then utter despair. Tears welled, then streamed uncontrollably down her cheeks. Her pale lips trembled for a moment. She tried to speak, but no sound came out. Finally, she shattered. With a choked sound, she swept away the letters she had so carefully treasured. Right before my eyes, she descended into a frenzy, stomping on them, tearing them to shreds, destroying our past. Now, in her heart, I was truly nothing more than a heartless, faithless scumbag. I couldn't tell if I felt more pained or relieved. I left in silence. Just as I was about to get into the car, she came running after me, barefoot. Fu Shangyan, can't we even be friends after this? I looked at her, my expression unreadable. If you run into any trouble in the future, contact my assistant. He'll help you. I had my bodyguard hand her my assistant's business card. She let out a hollow, dazed laugh and casually tossed it into the nearest trash can. Fu Shangyan, you're a real bastard, she ground out, her voice thick with hatred. I didn't look back. If that's how you see me, I said, my voice flat, then so be it. 6 years later, I received Lin Wanjuan's wedding invitation. She wasn't marrying Liu Zhe, but an overseas Chinese expatriate. When my love and I attended the wedding, I was surprised to find Shun Huihong on stage, invited up as a family member. It turned out that Shun Huihong had acknowledged Lin Wanjun as his sworn sister 4 years prior, which was quite unexpected. But that was all right. Though Shun Huihong was a bit of a playboy, he always treated his family well. Mr. Qin and I met at a book signing. He's a fan of my books. I once thought I could never let go of past regrets, but it wasn't until I met him that I understood. When we meet the right person, letting go could be so easy. As she said these words, she didn't glance at me even once. I saw the brilliant lights illuminate her, making her shine brightly. It was just like the first time I saw her, her small figure silhouetted against the light as she confidently and cleverly led away the thugs who were after me. I averted my gaze, squeezed my love's hand, and we quietly left. Let's go, my great pianist. What surprise have you prepared for me for our 10th wedding anniversary? My love covered my eyes and gave a mysterious smile. My dear CEO, I'm not telling you yet. After a pause, she feigned anger, lightly tapping my chest twice. You're not allowed to peek this time. You peek every year. I shrugged calmly. As if. I'm definitely going to peek. Lin Wanjuan's side story. After Fu Shangyan died in a shipwreck, I had a dream. It was a long, fragmented dream. I dreamed he hadn't died, but had changed his identity and gone inland. He took me with him, and we changed our identities inland and started a new life. But I still felt uneasy. Our statuses were still unequal. Inland, I had no family or friends. Besides him, I had no one to rely on. I could only write desperately, pouring all my emotions into one novel after another. Only by earning a lot of money and achieving a reputation more perfect than Fu Shangyan's could I feel even slightly confident when speaking to him. Wanjun, it's already past 1 in the morning. Let's go to sleep first, and you can write tomorrow, okay? He'd say, carefully placing a glass of warm milk by my hand and tentatively trying to still my furiously typing fingers. I was in the zone with my writing and impatiently brush him off. The milk fell to the floor, glass shattering everywhere. Fu Shangyan, you're always telling me to rest. Are you trying to trap me at home for the rest of my life? Fu Shangyan looked at me with a complicated expression. After a long moment, he sighed and silently knelt to clean up the mess. Suddenly, his gaze tightened, and his warm fingers grasped my cold ankle. Wanjun, your calf is cut by the glass. I'll get the first aid kit. He rushed out like the wind, but when he returned, I had locked him out. I was tired of his mind-corroding concern. It had to be a gilded cage he was using to trap me. Once I slowly grew to depend on him, unable to leave him, he would suddenly change, trapping me at home to become just another person bogged down by countless trivialities. Wanjun, I just want you to sleep early. Tomorrow, you need to attend our daughter's school parent-child activity. See, I knew it. Why don't you go? Why should I be the one to go? Silence hung outside the door for a long while. When Fu Shangyan spoke again, his voice sounded exceptionally weary. Wanjun, I've been going for the past 3 years. Our daughter really needs your company. She needs her mother, and I need you too. I covered my ears, refusing to listen. I had to write. I had to earn money. I had to quickly save enough to take our daughter and leave this den of wolves. But no matter how hard I tried, the money I earned never surpassed Fu Shangyan's. I was still just an insignificant speck of dust under his powerful influence. I became melancholic and lost all motivation to move forward. During countless painful days and nights, I would always think of Lu Zhe, even though I hadn't heard any news of him for a long time. But those difficult years we spent together in our youth always made me see him through a warm, nostalgic filter. I started to fantasize. What if I had resolutely threatened to die back then and hadn't come inland with Fu Shangyan? How would everything have turned out? It would probably have been very warm. Lu Zhe and I would have had our own careers, lived in a house full of blooming roses, with children playing around our knees. As I thought this, my eyelids grew heavier and heavier. In my daze, I seemed to smell a faint fragrance. That bastard Fu Shangyan must have come in. Wanjun, the roses outside the window are blooming again. Did you see them? His voice was desolate, like the fading scent of roses, gradually disappearing from my dream. I finally woke up. My vision was blurry. Sniffling, I realized my face was already streaked with tears. The room was still quiet. The roses on the windowsill had withered. Only then did I realize that in many everyday moments I hadn't noticed, Fu Shangyan had already managed this little home, what he considered their home, with such meticulous care. In a daze, I seemed to see him again, leaning back on the sofa, sunlight illuminating his casually tousled hair, looking so warm. Wanjun, wealth isn't the sole measure of a person's worth and dignity. You can pursue anything you desire, but you must be careful not to lose yourself in the process.